Well, other than that, we can go ahead and get started. Hope everyone is feeling okay. Um, if there is an assistant, well, I don't even know how you would let me know. I only have the one screen, so hopefully we can get people to actually come off mic if they actually have any comments or questions. But like I said before, we'll be going into, how I go into a new month charting, and kind of like the steps that I take to, find potential trade ideas going into the new month. And this works the same with any new candle. Today we had the new month candle, as well as a new week. So you could also use the same methodology for finding stuff on the week as well as the day as well. So how do we find trades for December, for the month, for the week, for the day? These are some of the things, the key things that I zero into when finding trades. So looking at the higher time frames, the monthly and the quarterly specifically, is what we're doing, finding things for December. I also consider the news and other potential catalysts, as we'll get into later on in the discussion. You want to also examine the sectors and see what the sectors are doing. The sectors kind of act as I like to call them the all-star teams. And the all-star team is basically defined by what the sector is about. So, for example, you have SMH, which is just basically an all-star team of players that deal in semiconductors. So you can look at the team to figure out, what the individual players are doing. Because if the team is winning, then that means the players are good. And so you can find your individual players from sectors that or ETFs that represent different sectors, like a SMH. If you see SMH or SOXL going off, then you know it has to be an individual player or individual players or MVPs, as I like to call them, that is making that team win. And so when I talk about MVPs, I'm also talking about your most valuable players, excuse me. So that means also trades and stocks that you won with. You don't want to necessarily just forget them as the new month happens or the new candle happens. You always want to look back at it, or look back at them because they're winning. So they should continue to have a bit of your attention as we go into the future. And we'll have examples of my personal MVPs as we get along further in the discussion. Well, see, I have a roster, so I call them my bays, and you can actually see it. So I have a watch list. Um, these are my bays, so these are all of, my MVPs. And then I specifically try to zero in and find MVPs that actually have setups that I like, and I flag them. I give them this pink flag, and then I put them onto another watch list. So this is my watch list from last week of potential stuff. Actually, this is from this week of potential things that I like from my MVPs. And then these are my two players that I actually hit on last week. And so I, put them at the top because I don't want to forget about them. As I said, you don't want to forget about your MVPs. So these are my two MVPs from last week. And these are new potential things that I wanted to be looking at this week, going into this week. So just summarizing that again, I just keep track, of a list. Whenever something hits for me, I just add it to the watch list here. And so this is actually a somewhat smaller list of stocks because I've been trading for so long. This is actually a consolidation of this list here, which is my paid money watch list. So these are stocks that have paid me money. It's the paid money watch list. And so those stocks on my base are a consolidated version of this, which is all of the stocks that I've ever hit on since I've been playing in the stock market, which is, a lot. But that's how I kind of, and I just try to, specifically look at, these stocks from out of these stocks. So I don't really want, I mean, my attention is already kind of scattered, but I try to zero it in and at least have, just not too much to look at. And then as you can see last week, I only played these two out of the whole list that I had. But that's generally how I find, my roster of players. And so, having said all of those things, these are some things that I saw on the month. So, what I like to look for in general is failed two downs. And so, that's what I key in on. So, you can have different things that you look for. I specifically like the failed two downs. He was just talking about like a 3-2-2 continuation to the upside. There's also a 1-2-2 kind of strat thing. Um, but I specifically like to look for fail two downs and then outside candles as well when looking for potential plays on any time frame, whether it be the day, the week, the month, or the year. I like to look for those signs of reversal or strong selling coming into a candle or strong buying coming into a candle. More specifically, when we're in bullish trends, I look for strong buying coming into the candles. And so that's where you have something like this on XLP. You have this outside three candle that finishes green. I like to call this the Buster Sword because it kind of looks like a Buster Sword from Final Fantasy if you ever played Final Fantasy VII. I think that's one of the most famous role-playing games with Cloud Strife. He has this big, humongous sword that kind of looks like this. If you put it in like a minimalistic type of graphic, it basically looks like this three candle here with this long sword and then this short handle. And I just call it a Buster Sword. So specifically on this chart here, this XLP, which is, I believe, consumer staples. So XLP is basically an all-star team of consumer staples related stocks. And so this is what I was referring to in the last slide, examining the sectors. And so that's what I did. First and foremost, I looked at the sectors and I saw that XLP kind of stood out because it had this Buster Sword three up candle, as well as it flipped the quarter back green after the significant downtrend that you can see here. And it's close to triggering the quarter up, as you can see there. So that's actually, if we can go to that chart and kind of see it a little bit more zoomed in. So this is currently XLP. This is the first candle of the day as well as the first candle of the new month. And so with XLP, what I was looking at was this heavy buying that happened last month in November. And so what it actually did was it actually broke the low of the previous month of October, sank down, and then all of the buyers came in and drove this price up. So what I'm hoping that will happen is that the buyers will stay around and not just necessarily leave the party, and continue to trigger on XLP to the upside and basically trigger this quarter or 3 month trigger up there at 84.53. As you can see by some of the indicators on the screen, the one that I'm keying in on is this one here with all of the green from the day, the week, the month, and the quarter. That's just basically telling me that, as you can see here, this golden cloud is basically a sign that the trend is to the upside. And so what that's telling me is that we have a golden cloud uptrend on the day, the week, the month, and the quarter, which is another, sign for me or confluence for me that we are in a bullish uptrend on XLP, aka consumer staples. And then if we go down to the day, we can kind of see that right now the full time frame continuity is kind of to the downside. So what I would be waiting for is a reversal back up, flipping some of these greens. So what we do have is a new day, a new week, and a new month. So those triggers are relatively this signal is relatively young because we don't have enough time to even get a whole process of this. And these can really flip at the drop of a hat because they're so relatively new. The oldest one that we have here is the year and then the quarter. I think we're 2 months, almost 2 months into the quarter, 2 full months into the quarter. So these two will be the most telling as of right now, with a new day, week, and month just happening today, if that makes any sense. So these are the least strongest signals right now because they're fresh and new, and the year and the quarter are the more stronger signals because they have more age to them. So what I'm looking for is potentially this to flip back green on the week as well as the day, and it would do that above this level here. As you can see that when the day flips green, the week will also flip green, and the month will also flip green too. So these are representations of the candles, the last three candles on the week and the last three candles on the month on the chart that's based on the day time frame. So I don't have to click back over to see those levels. So above this 83.15, that will flip the day, the week, and the month green. So that's what I say when all of those are basically coupled together because they're so fresh and new, and when you don't have enough data for them to formulate their own candlestick yet. So they're all sharing the same candle. And when one flips, the other one will flip, and the other one will also flip. So those are the things that I'm looking at on XLP in general. And one of the all stars, just to drive it home from XLP, will most likely be Costco, which is the greatest consumer staple. And so, what I'm looking at on Costco is for it to use this golden zone here, which is basically a retracement from this swing high to this swing low. I'm hoping that it doesn't drop below there and potentially use that to bounce and eventually tackle 191, I'm sorry, 97, 975, um, which is I think an all-time high. So this could potentially be headed to 1,000 easily if the consumer staples sector stays strong. Any questions? Let me check the chat really quickly just to make sure there's no questions. There's a shit ton of people in here. Okay. So that's the dealio on XLP. Another one that I found was Unity. So Unity has the same kind of structure with the three up on the month. I also like the Unity on the monthly. It was making the higher lows, finding some support potentially at the bottom broad. As you can see there on the screen, that green line, diagonal green line, is the bottom formation of a broadening formation that it could potentially be finding some support from. And it's also breaking this month-long downtrend, as you can see there with Unity. So this is one that I would want to watch. It's one of the cheaper plays that you could buy more into, as well as hold for a longer amount of time because the contracts with some time on them won't be as expensive. So again, if we go back to the chart and kind of take a look at Unity, um, we can see that on the time frame continuity, we have green all the way up into the quarter. So from the day to the quarter, we have green. Again, we want to remember that the day, the week, and the month are fresh signals. And so the quarter and the yearly will be the strongest things that we have as far as the continuity. And we do have green on the quarter there. What I do like is Unity has already triggered the quarter up with more than, I think, a little bit more than less than a month to go before the quarter candle is completed. So if we go to the month, we can see on Unity, we currently have an inside month from the most recent month that we're in, but this three candle here, yeah, so we just started that month. And so what we're looking for is for it to go two up So that would be triggering above 2485. And what I like about Unity is that you can see this red cloud is starting to curl back up here on the month. And so what I want to do is see this month golden cross in December and create the golden cross on the day, the month, day, the week, and the month. And so it's already kind of gotten a little bit bullish, breaking this downtrend, as you can see right there with that red line downtrend going down right there. It's broken back above that and it's headed towards, I believe this is the 50 SMA, if I'm not mistaken. So wanted to see it, go towards there, potentially golden cross on the month, and go two up on the month as well with Unity. I think it should be finding some support there at the bottom of that broadening formation on the month. And we hope that it does do that on Unity. And so again, it just had the three up month after a consolidation month down. Hopefully the buyers are still in play and they'll go 3-2 up on the monthly time frame, holding above that uh, quarter trigger. We, Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Okay, give me 1 second. We can go back to the first screen chat. Um, yeah, so those, four things are very important. So we went over XLP, we went over Unity, and now we come to another one that's actually doing great today. So we have Apple. Apple is super bullish on the full time frame continuity as well as the EMAs, aka the golden crosses. As you can see down here, we have all green. We had an outside 3 month triggering that also triggered the quarter last month. And Apple is cautiously at all-time highs, but things that are high can continue to go higher, as Apple is currently doing today. So if we look in on Apple, we can see on the month time frame that outside three. And so what I do like is, like I said, the buyers coming back in. So at a certain point, the sellers had driven Apple all the way down to 221-ish. And then the buyers came in and drove Apple all the way back up, clearing the previous month's high, taking it above 237.49. And so Apple is also uh, in a golden cross uptrend is what I like to call it on all of the time frames, the day, the week, the month, and the quarter. So you'll see this golden cloud to the upside on all of those time frames, which tells me that the trend is definitely bullish. So here we have that golden cloud on the quarter. As we can also see, Apple has triggered the quarter, breaking above roughly 240. So it's already triggered the quarter from the previous quarter, and it's already triggering the month from the previous month with the two up right now. And then the last month, it also triggered at the end of the month, triggered up. It looks like it didn't stay above it. If we could zoom in. So I'm looking at the top of this red candle, and Apple barely closed just below that. But this month, today, at the start of today, it has cleared both of those hurdles of the previous month as well as the month of October. So Apple to me looks really, really bullish. And then if we go down to the day, we can also see via time frame continuity, we have we have green all the way from the day to the year. So I'm really, really bullish on Apple and potentially what Apple can do. Again, looking at this, we see these signals on the month. So if you're considering any contracts on these signals that you see on the month, you would want to buy double the time just to give you double the time for your trade idea to be correct. So we'll be looking at contracts for maybe February, just to give yourself double the time or something like 60 days out on Apple. But I really do like this. It's like super bullish. Again, cautionary, we are at an all-time high, as we can see. Apple has not been any higher. If we scroll to the left, you don't see any information at the levels that we're at now. So we're at all-time highs on that. So you just want to be mindful of that. But any things at highs can continue higher. And Apple. being it is Apple can be one of those things that does that. I really like Apple. And I think the final one that I saw was Verizon. So Verizon is actually a fail to down, which is another bullish candle, and it's on the month as you can see there. Potential golden cross happening on the quarter. It's also close to turning the quarter back green and also close to triggering the quarter up on Verizon. So this is another relatively cheap play that you can buy some time on, specifically 2 months out on Verizon. It's currently down, so we're probably an inside candle on the month currently. But what I do like about it is that it is showing signs of potentially trying to get back to the quarter, as well as to, let me actually change this. Let's see if we can change this to the quarter so I don't have to keep flipping back. So it breaks the trigger to the quarter above 45.36. And then if we can put our openings on, which I should have had on, we can see that it's also close to flipping the quarter back green to the upside above 44.96. And then after that, it could actually trigger the quarter up. And as you can see, this jumbled up mess right here is because, once again, all of those levels are coupled together. So if Apple gets above 44.20, I'm sorry, Verizon gets above 44.26, it's going to flip the day, the week, and the month back green. So that's what I mean visually. You can see it wouldn't take much to flip those time frames because they're so fresh and new. So you want to be mindful of Verizon back above 44.27 because it will be flipping all of those time frames green, and then it would potentially be headed to flipping a quarter green to above 44.96. I do like Verizon. If we go to the quarter, we can also see that it's also trying to curl up and do a golden cross on the quarter as well. And so you just want to be mindful of Verizon, and it could potentially be a nice play to the upside as well. With that, fail to down on the month, which is basically the bulls and the buyers coming back in, driving price back up after it went two down. Well, after the price action went down, triggered below the candle to the previous candle, and then price went all the way back up. The buyers came back and driving the price up. So we want to see if these buyers are still in on Verizon and drive that price back to do those flips on the month, the week, the day, and the quarter on Verizon. So those are the four stocks that I found just doing some quick analysis based off the things that I like to see. And so we also want to consider news and catalysts as far as things like that. So what is working for you as of right now? Me specifically, as I talked about the MVP stocks recently, so Cisco and XLF. Cisco is more of a kind of networking, IT, AI type of play. And so I would examine those on the higher time frame to see how they look on the higher time frames. Are they still strong? Or do they have signs of exhaustion? And so for example, the things that were working for me, AI stocks, that was the Cisco, Elon, anything Elon related, Elon Musk related, that would be Tesla, and then the bank's financials, XLF. So those things really, really hit for me most recently. I don't have it on the list, I don't think. But okay, so Tesla is here as well as Palantir, which is another thing that hit for me most recently, which is also AI related. Um, and those will be also found in my base. So you have Palantir, you have TSLL, which is basically a Tesla ETF. So Tesla is really expensive, but TSLL is basically a ETF that's two times whatever Tesla is. So if Tesla is up, $3 and some change, then TSLL will be up roughly $7. As you can see there, TSLL is up 7%. I mean, so that means that Tesla is up roughly half of that. So whatever Tesla is, TSL is double that. So you just want to be mindful of that. Um, but it is a lot cheaper than investing in Tesla. But these things have really been good for me over the last couple of weeks to a month. Cisco, XLF, Tesla, and Palantir. Those are really my MVPs over the past couple of trading sessions. And so I'm really heavily invested in watching financials, Tesla, or any, which is acts as a proxy to Elon. So whatever Elon does, if Elon is doing good and making moves as far as increasing his wealth, then that will be reflected with Tesla. And TSLL is basically just Tesla times two. Palantir is also an AI play. And we'll talk a little bit about that further into the session. And then Cisco is also kind of a networking type of AI play as well. As you can see, these things are really running up. Cisco is running up, and Cisco is a nice, still cheap stock that doesn't really relatively have these big moves. So you can buy it close to the money and with time, because it doesn't really have these relatively huge moves. It just consistently moves up, as you can see here on the month. It doesn't really have any triggers on the month. That's why I didn't list it. We're just looking forward to do a two continuation to the upside on most of these time frames. Here on the daily, we do have a 3-1 potential two if it can hold and close above today, above basically where it is now. Um, Close above the high of 59.70. We do have a 3-1-2 playing out there on the day on Cisco. On the week, we currently have an inside candle, so we'll be looking for this to go two up above 59.87, but not necessarily having anything on the higher time frames like the month that we were keyed in on. So on the month, it's just a two up, two it's a 2-2 continuation to the upside. As, as well with a lot of these things, it's just recently a two up continuation on XLF, Tesla, the same thing. This is actually a 3-2 continuation on Tesla. Just looking for that to go two up again on the month. And then the same thing with Palantir. You just have two up continuation, just looking for this to go two up again on the month. But those are really my heavy hitters as far as my MVPs that I'm just not going to stop watching. I want to keep my attention on those. And those can be wrapped up by AI stocks, Elon, and banks. So that's what's working for me. That's what has been working for me. So never lose track of what's working for you, 'cause until it, stops working consistently. And these things are still working for me. So one of the last things you do want to consider is what can potentially move things in the future. And more specifically, I'm talking about future catalysts. So some things that we can consider, as I went in on already, Elon is basically politically positioned to become Super Saiyan rich, or like Super Saiyan God rich, because he's already like Super Saiyan rich. So Super Saiyan God like rich, he's politically positioned himself to benefit all of the ventures that he's tied to. And so, for example, Elon, I think, owns like 70% of the satellites in outer space. Um, and then for those satellites, if you even have a competing satellite that you want to put it in outer space, you most likely you have to use one of his rockets from SpaceX to put your satellite in orbit. So he's kind of has a monopoly on the outer space. And so he's going to start trying to monetize that. Um, Trump is also pro energy, pro oil, pro nuclear, drill baby drill. So you want to keep an eye on those types of things. If the market decides to, take a turn to the downside, things that he's championing, like oil, will most likely go to the upside. You also want to be mindful for who Trump is not pleased with. I don't think he's messing with China too much with the tariffs. So you want to be mindful of that. China's economy and China's stocks most likely might take a dip until they get in track and they get on his favorites list. If we could take a quick look at the China All Stars, like a K Web, this is the China ETF. And as you can see, for the last month, we have a swing high here. And for the past 2 months, China has been in a decline, looking to see if that can continue, break the low of the previous month under 229.68. That could be an easy play if Trump continues to have China on his shit list. So just watch, the China stocks and the China ETF as a whole to see if they continue to plummet. Trump also doesn't favor renewable energy. So he's all about like oil and drilling for oil and things like that. So if you look at the renewable energy ETF, or one of the renewable energy ETFs, which is TAN, which is more about solar, and then ICLN is global clean energy. You can see that they're kind of on a downtrend. For the past 2 months, they've been down just like China. So you're looking for that to trigger two down on the month below 1192, and then you can zoom in on one of the all stars and the renewable energies, in phase or Sunrun. They're all going to be most likely on um, a downtrend. So Sunrun, in phase, First Solar, they're all going to be having in the first solar. They're all going to be in kind of a downtrend. So First Solar is the strongest. It's trying its best to hold the team up, as you can see there. But those other ones are just doing really bad. And in phase and Sunrun. But First Solar is trying its best to hold the team up, and it's not doing too good. So you want to be mindful of those things that Trump doesn't like. And then last but not least, Trump also is pro-defense and expanded defensive measures. So that goes back to expanding the defensive measures. I believe he's trying to use those satellites that Elon has to do some sort of Star Wars type of, launching missiles from outer space and things like that. And then another defensive measure is the likes of Palantir. Palantir is they have divisions which are invested in defensive AI and basically knowing data and everything on your enemy, keeping track of them. So Palantir is suited to play that role of defensive AI for the government. So you want to keep that in mind, as well as Elon and his SpaceX, Space Link type of things that you can't directly invest in, but those will be reflected as of right now in the Tesla stock. And so that's what I mean by future catalysts, future geopolitics, and news that could potentially be used to your benefit. So in summation, we want to make sure that we know that Tesla and TSLL act as a proxy to Elon. So whatever Elon does, these will benefit or not benefit, or they'll these will show signs. So they'll act as a proxy to him, or kind of whatever Elon does, these will do too. You don't want to forget your winners, aka your MVPs. You always want to keep track of what's been winning for you, and you always want to keep track of the sector analysis and finding those MVPs in that sector. As of right now, AI remains the most popular play, and that includes things like Palantir, um, Microsoft, more specifically, Palantir Microsoft with the ChatGTP, which was trying to become a publicly was I guess they'll eventually try to IPO, but recently in the news to drive things back home, Elon is actually trying to prevent them from becoming a company for profit. So he might use all of his political power to kind of make roadblocks for them, while his own AI system has no roadblocks with his X AI that he's eventually going to release. So, like I said, you want to be mindful of Elon. You want to be mindful and monetize Elon's madness as well as monetizing Trump's madness. You also want to remember that the trend is your friend. And last but not least, you want to trust your eyes and trust the charts in front of you. So that was my whole spiel. Do we have any questions or comments? You can ask them now or post them in the Discord. Boom, 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 boom. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can post it in the chat. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I did notice Roku as well as Boeing had a nice setup that I like, but it's just I don't have any trust in that company. Sooner or later, I think Boeing is actually going to lose a lot of his business to Elon as far as their rockets, um, especially with him, gaining all his political power. If they don't get it together, he's going to take over their market cap. Someone is asking, any thoughts on Oracle? So Oracle is also one of my favorite stocks. Oracle is just so I like to go back and forth between Oracle and Cisco. It's just Oracle kind of is, double the cost of what Cisco is. But I haven't actually taken a look at it, I don't think this week. But we can take a look at it right now. So as you can see, I do have some notes there from previous sessions on Oracle. So on the month, it was a 2, up continuation from a failed to up. Um, no, the 3 month is already triggering, already triggered. And so what I would want to do is it seems like it's a little exhausted looking at it here on the week. And so I'm trying to figure out, what levels that it could potentially bounce from. So what I like to do is take a swing high to a swing low, the most recent in most situations. So around that golden area, I would want to see it find some support. If it breaks through strongly through the to the downside on this golden area, then it might try to tackle the swing low. And so I usually try to look at all of this from the same time frame. It might try to tackle this swing low here, where we can see on the week around 168.73. I will want it to hold strong in this golden zone, and continue this uptrend as we can see on the, I guess you can just call this the Sannin clouds multiple time frame indicator right there. And so I will want to see the day flip back to green, see if we can find some support potentially at this EMA here, SMA here. I believe that's the let me just put the labels on there. So at this 50-day SMA, hopefully we could potentially find some support there. If not, like I said, they could be aiming for that swing low of 168.73. I do think because of what Oracle does, they are in the AI tech world. I do think that they'll continue up as AI continues to be the most talked about thing in the stock market. I do think that they have the possibility to continue up, but I do also notice that on the daily we kind of have this double top, so it could be a little bit exhausted. And we want to see how it moves away from the trigger of that double top there at 182.33. If it moves strongly away from that to the downside, then the only recourse that we have is these levels here. We also have a gap fill to the downside, which could also be aiming for, and that would fit right into that SMA that could potentially act as support there. So we want to be mindful of those things with Oracle. Wait for it to reverse back to the upside if you're bullish on it. But as of right now, it could be consolidating a little bit. Well, it is consolidating. It could consolidate more. This, this right here, this, that's I think it's called the higher time frame candlesticks. Let me see. I kind of edited it so that it would be more mindful for me. Um, I think it's this one. So what this does is it shows you the candlesticks over there to the right, and then also if you like the strat. So for example, mine is showing you the week and the 3 month. So it'll also show you the week as candlesticks as shaded in on the candlesticks of the time frame that you're in now. So it'll give you 3 weeks worth, or it'll give you 3 months worth of data, and it'll kind of make it into a candlestick, but it gets kind of confusing. So I edited mine, but let me show you a little bit what it looks like. Let me take some of these things off because I can't even see it. So it's showing you weeks worth of candles with the overlay that it has there. So these are this is the week right now. This is a fresh week, but the previous week is 1, 2, 3, 4 days because we only had 4 days of trading last week. We got the previous week before that is 5 days, and so that's the candle. So this is wick right there, and then as you can see over here. So this is this week. This candle reflects this candle right here, the last three candles. So you can see this part is the wick, and then you have the body right there. And then if we zoom in, you can see that that part is the wick. So it's visually representing the candles and overlaying over top of the candles of the time frame that you're on. So as of right now, this big drawing right here is a representation of the 3 month candle, and it's overlaying it over the top of the time frame that you're on. So it could be useful if you're looking at strat, you're looking at flips and stuff like that. It's kind of useful to have that on your screen. I really don't like it too much because it makes a little bit too much data to analyze. But it is very useful if you're using the strat. But that's what it's called. It's called the HTF HTF candles by DGT. And you can set these time frames to whatever you like. Right here, you can change it to, reflect whatever time frame you want. Any more questions? I think somebody said something about what do you think about SMCI? Uh, um, SMCI, guess they're getting some of their mojo back. I think they changed like some of the top levels, executives or somebody like that. I can't remember. But they do have news and newness in their favor. But I mean, it's going to take a lot to kind of get over that hit of cooking the books. Um, I like to invest in strong companies with solid fundamentals, and so their fundamentals aren't solid. So I wouldn't necessarily be looking to play them, putting a majority of my investments in them. Now, if you're trying to do some gambling and make a quick buck, then yeah, because they're popular, they're going to have a lot of capital and people drawn to them. But I wouldn't necessarily be trying to bet my house on SMCI. I would be more mindful of a stronger player in the field, which would be Dell and maybe even one of those HPE or HPQ, whichever one of those do the networking and servers. I think their fundamentals are better. Dell, more specifically, I know Jensen Hong does a lot of work with the founder of Dell or the CEO of Dell, Michael Dell. They have a lot of sit downs and powwows in the tech world, and they often keep each other's name in each other's mouths. So I'll be more interested in the Dell, and then if not Dell, HP, either Q or HPE, whichever one is the network and servers. Can we look at Spotify? I always get Spotify and Shopify confused. Which one of them has been going off? I think it's been Shopify. All right, so on the week on Spotify, we because we run up what this is called, I believe, on the week, if we just flip to the week, this could potentially be a hangman where you have this hammer and especially a red hammer at the top of a run up. That could be an indication that Shopify could be finding a little bit of exhaustion. But other than that, Shopify is super bullish, as you can see on the full time frame continuity down here from the week up to the year. We have to the green, and then on the Sannin clouds, multiple time frame indicator up here, you have the day all the way up to the quarter. We're in a golden cross uptrend. Spotify does look like it wants more rec, but again, I would just be cautious and wanted to do that trick of at least clearing the previous week above 485 50-ish on the previous week, taking that short term. And then on the month, also wanted to trigger on the month. But first, just looking at zeroing in on that week. Spotify has just been straight up for like a couple of for the last year. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. I don't even like watch Shopify like that, but it's super bullish. I would use that kind of red down candle as the week for it to requalify back above that. On a smaller time frame, maybe even looking at the hour, see if we have a trend behind it. It could potentially be breaking or some sort of support resistance. So this is kind of what I see on Shop. Let me see how this. Nope. Um, I guess we could do it like that. So I want to see it break that red line back to the upside and holding strongly above that kind of resistance there on the hour. Uh, I will see you tonight. We are running better. So that's how Shopify looks to me. To me, my X-Men. We got a nice kind of like a flag pattern right there. What ATR indicator are you using on the bottom right corner? So that's part of the Santa Claus. That's like the watered down version. So it's basically telling me the ATR on the day and the week. And so this is customizable. You can choose what ATR you have it set on. So right now I have it set on the day and the week, and then you can label it so that it shows you whatever it is. I just have it simply as D, but you can type day, week, and then it'll adjust and show you. visually, okay, this is for the week and this is for the day. And you can adjust those. For example, you can go on the 2 week, the 10 week, the 12 month, the 1 month, and it should give you a rough estimation of what the ATR is. And then it could also show you visually on the chart those rough estimation of those levels. So here you have it visually on the chart. You can see those ATR levels of the day and the week. They're kind of bunched together, but you can see the upper range of, according to the ATR, how much it can potentially go. You can see the 50% of the ATR up as well as down, and then you can see the 50% of the week up as well as down, visually on the chart as well. So I like to look at this or have this on when I'm, analyzing what kind of contracts I could potentially get into. So I see, okay, the upper ATR on Spotify is around 505 for the week. So maybe 2 weeks out, I could get the consider the 505. If I want to be more conservative, I can consider the 492, which is half of the ATR for the week on Spotify. I can consider the 492. And I can consider that even maybe this week or next week, or I could consider the daily ATR for the week um, of 492 still. So that's kind of how I like to use that. But that's part of the Sannin clouds. You can get all of those indicators bunched together. The ATR, Sannin clouds. I have to add this to it because I just kind of created this visually for me. But I really find that resourceful when I'm trying to choose contracts. Can we look at Carvana, if not already? So Carvana is also a stock that's on one of my watch lists somewhere here. It's just I have so much stuff to look at. But Carvana has also been super running. So I wouldn't be mad if this chose to kind of just chill out for a bit. So looking at Carvana on the day, we do have a consistent higher highs. And so what I would want to do is see if Carvana can find some support along this trend to the upside. So if we look at that kind of like as a zone, I would want it to find some support in that zone. So in this zone right here on the daily, let's take some of these notes that I already have on here away. Um, Carvana, all of the cars on there are like extremely expensive, but I guess people like it because I guess you can easily get a car on there. As far as credit checks and if your credit is bad or whatnot, it's just they're super ridiculously expensive. So it's just along the same measures as we did the other analysis. I'm looking for a swing high to a swing low to just kind of give me a zone of interest. I would like to see Carvana back above that golden zone there. As of right now, it looks like it's trying to tackle this swing low that I used to formulate that zone. So this swing low around here looks like it's fueling towards there. Again, Carvana has been very bullish for the last couple of months. And so you could just be seeing people taking some profit. As you can see, it's just been, what do you call it? What's the term? For when something goes up extremely fast. I forget. Uh, it's one of those smart terms, but I can't remember. That shit is going crazy, is what I'll call it as of right now. I can't remember the actual term, but it's been going crazy. Ham. And so at these levels, I wouldn't be surprised if it cooled off a little bit. But if we zoom out here, we could see this kind of cup forming and really be looking to see, how it plays around the top of this cup. Well, Carvana is still, really bullish. Like I said, it's probably just, doing a little bit of consolidation right now. I would like to see it back above that golden zone, 260.40, so it could potentially tackle triggering the month two up above 268.40. Carvana has been really strong, really strong. Wait, this parabolic, yes, that's the word I was looking for. Elon is setting up to buy Boeing. Is that is that true, or are you just making that up? Because that would be interesting. It'd be cool if he bought like a car company. I mean, he already has the Tesla, but if he bought like a Ford or somebody and really like increase the quality of those Teslas. I think he said he had something that he was willing to share. I'm not sure if he might have stepped away. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Bowen is in his price range. It's out of his price range. Um, okay, he might have stepped away, but let's while we are waiting, we could look at I think somebody did say Dell and I skipped over it. So Dell definitely has that gap to fill from earnings back to the upside. I think what happened is that they beat and then something, I guess, with revenue was not as good as they wanted it to be. But in terms of AI and their data center revenue, it was definitely up and noticeably doing really, really well for them. So this is why I do say that as far as the data center server structure, Dell has the more infrastructure to service something like a NVIDIA, and they don't have to cook the books. So what I'm looking for eventually, Dell, is to refill this gap. They drove the price down, I believe just so that they could buy it back up and make some profit. Dell was, let's see, so Dell was nowhere near its all-time high before they did drive it down, or the 52-week high. But I'm thinking that because it didn't, underwhelm, it was the surprise was 1.24% less than what they expected. So they're not necessarily about to go bankrupt tomorrow. They're making money, just not like a pinch less than what was expected. And so as the AI keeps dialing up, and they'll keep making data centers, and they'll need the servers and things that Dell provides in order to accommodate all of this AI infrastructure. So I do plan on this trying to fulfill this gap back to the upside. Again, if we take a swing high to a swing low here on the day, from this swing high to this swing low, things get really nice back above that golden zone, above 137 on the daily. As of right now, we're shaping up to be a failed two down on the day. If the day closes out right now, we will be looking for Dell to trigger a two down, two up, a failed two down, two up above 127.84. That's if this candle stays like this for the rest of the day, and doesn't trigger up two up today. We'll be looking for that setup, or I would specifically be looking for that setup of a failed two down, two up, back into that gap on the daily. On the week, we have an inside candle towards the lower range of the previous candle. And this could stay inside for a relatively long time because the magnitude on this three candle that it's inside is really, really high, most likely because of earnings last week. But in the long term, I'm do liking Dell. We do have consistently over the longer term higher lows, and it kind of just retrace back down. If we look at this swing high to this swing low on the weekly time frame, we could find potentially area of significance. And look at that. So this could potentially be acting as area of significance. This could be acting as support. It's a healthy rejection back down to the 50, the golden zone, 50% retracement from this swing high to this swing low. So I'll be looking to see how Dell does react around this area that it's in right now. Seeing if it could trigger two up on the day tomorrow. Tomorrow, tomorrow, what Dell does tomorrow. Oh no, I thought you had said that you might had some things that you wanted to showcase as far as some moves that you saw. Did anybody see anything on the month time frame that they wanted to share or look over? Someone is saying to look at ARKK. Okay, bam. So I can tell you right now, this run up is because of Tesla and Coinbase. I think those are the two biggest holdings in ARKK, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't checked the holdings in them in a while, but this is clearing above the yearly open, it looks like, which is amazing. Let me see something. Oh no. What does that say right there? Oh, maybe that's the week. Okay, so the year, that's the week. Sorry. I thought it's so jumbled up. I thought that was a Y, but it's a W jumbled up with a D. But last month it did flip the year back red green as well as the quarter. And so on the year, this kind of does look a little nice, like it definitely is recovering. Kathy Woods has had some hard times. Yeah. Um, yeah, so I mean I like this. This is definitely a proxy or a good play if you want to take advantage of Bitcoin and Tesla. So you get two for the price of one, as well as some other stuff. Um, if you play ARKK. So I'm just taking a quick look at what actually the holdings are as of right now. I'm sure it's Tesla and Coinbase heavy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah. So you get all of those good companies in there. So we talked about Shopify, that's in there. We talked about Palantir, that's in there. We talked about Roku. We mentioned Roku and we mentioned Coinbase and Tesla. You get all of those good stocks. So this is like an all-star team of kind of AI stuff with Palantir as well as Path. I think it's AI as well, or if not, it's something technology based. But this is a nice little wrap up of some good stocks to buy and hold, including your Palantir, including your Robinhood, including your coin, as well as Tesla. So I would definitely, this is a good bang for your buck as far as getting a taste of all of those good stocks with one single stock or one single play. Going back to the chart, it does have the what is this a 212 on the year, three up on the 6 month, fell two down to a two up on a 3 month. That would have been nice to see. And then right now we just have a potential 2-2 continuation on the month. Okay. Yeah, just chiming in again. ARKK is a good cheap play to get all of those high value stocks for cheap. Tesla, Coinbase, Roku, Palantir, Hood, as well as some other all stars. Damn, this is nice. Coin just announced it was partnering with Apple Pay. That's what's up. That's crazy. I wonder how is that gonna work. So you can pay for stuff using crypto directly, like Google. We have not discussed Google. Google is another it's like a top player, but it doesn't have any, well, lately hasn't had any super outrageous moves like the other Magnificent Seven. Looking here on the week, I would like for it to break above this. I mean, I'm sorry, on the hour. So we got this level, and then let's just extend this to that. We're looking for a short-term move on Google because I'm on the hour. I will be liking for it to break above that. But other than that, if we go to the higher time frames, oh, see, now it looks kind of weird because I did that. Let me just right there. So Google has been in the range, it looks like, for the last 2 months. Kind of can break above the 6 month opening, but we do have consecutive higher lows on the month. Looking at this swing high to swing low. And so I would want it to see it above 174. I can't see what that number is. 174-ish, 174, 75-ish. Looking at that on the monthly time frame. On the month, we also have, well, I mean, this month just started out, but we do have an inside candle, 2-1 as of right now. If this does say inside, then we can try to play that 2 into January, but we want to see how this month develops. So, excuse me, here on the week, we have a 2-1-2 already happening. This week just started, but we do have a 2-1-2 break to the upside on Google. We also have full time frame continuity, at least from the week up to the year. Again, I do like that 212 breakout on the weekly on Google. And then here we have a failed two down into a two up on the day, which would have been a nice thing to see and play that from the day. Damn, I missed out on that one. And then again, so if we're looking at this and could have played, let's see, could have played the 170. Back to the month open, the 170, or maybe the 171 going into today to the upside. I'm trying to hold this throughout the whole week because that's really only the daily ATR. So if you give yourself a week's time, it could potentially clear that and try to, go towards the week of 173 at least. So maybe 170, 171 would have been a nice play to have gotten into this morning. Damn. Yeah, so it went to 171 at least. So the 170, 171 would have been in the money. Taking that from 169, 40-ish, break above that, fell two down on the day. Hit. I don't have too much stuff to anything else to look at. We could take a look at, I think, AMAT, which is what Key caught today. So some things that I see on AMAT, let's take some of this stuff away. So AMAT, so one thing that you sometimes have to do is disregard the color of the candle. What I see is kind of let's see if I can just so we do have this broadening formation, broad and broad, that AMAT is using as support. So that's kind of our range right there on the weekly. And this candle here, even though it's red, what it's also showing you is that at a certain point, the sellers brought this all the way down to 168. And then that same candle during the week, the buyers brought it all the way back up to 174.71 to close the week. So even though this candle is down because it opened at 176s and it closed at 174, the buyers are present in this candle because of this wick that is showing you right here, where the buyers brought it all the way back up from 168. So sometimes you have to ignore the color of the candle as a representation of what the candle is doing, and you have to actually analyze what the candle in totality is showing you, the color as well as the shape. And so what this shape of the candle is telling me is that the buyers did come in and drive this back up on the weekly. And so you could easily play this off of breaking the opening back above the opening of the week or breaking back above the high of the week for bullish continuation of the trend reversal from the bottom broadening formation. So you don't necessarily want to be just take the color as the only reason to define, what the candlestick is telling you. You want to base it off the color as well as the shape of the candlestick and how it shapes out. So now potentially you're looking for AMAT to target 193 according to the strat, which would be a whole, excuse me, another $10 from where it's at right now. But that was a nice move on AMAT using, what the candlestick's shape is telling you rather than the color exclusively. But that's pretty much all that I have. If no one else has any other tickers or whatnot, I can release you. Hmm. This is Jamal. Yes, I'm doing okay. How you doing? Mm-hmm. Okay, 50,000. Okay, so the alkaline phosphorate was back. Okay, all right. And you said as far as the vitamin D, that's just like a regular over the counter, something I can get. Okay, okay, the kidney function. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for reaching out. You too. Bye. Okay, you all. If you have any further questions, you can always drop them in the Discord. But as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and head out. And hopefully, this was informative and helped you all out.